Joining us now, one of the all-time greats at the linebacker position, one of the all-time greats at any defensive position. He's back in Seattle after a brief hiatus, and the Seahawks, if you haven't noticed, are pretty damn good. So is linebacker Bobby Wagner. Hey, Bobby, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm still trying to figure out what happened on Monday night. You were in the middle of it. What was that?
It was just a really good defense, coming together, a group of guys making a lot of plays, and honestly, it was just fun.
Did you have any idea that's what was going to happen?
I did not. I watched the San Francisco film, and I know San Francisco went up by a lot, but you watch those guys come back. We got a ton of respect for Daniel Jones and his ability to run, and so we wasn't sure how it was going to play out, but we thought we had a chance to win.
What's that feeling when you're out there and your plan works and you're just swarming the blockers and getting to the quarterback over and over again?
I think it's just simply put, it's just fun. You know that everything's kind of clicking, and then it's a lot more fun when everybody is doing it. You had Spoon had a really really big game, but you had a lot of other guys that were able to get sacks, hits on the quarterback, really limit their rushing, except for him getting out and using his legs, and so it was just fun.
You mentioned Spoon. That's Devon Witherspoon, fifth overall pick in the draft. That kid is just incredible. Not a big guy, but boy, he has an impact. What have been your impressions of him so far?
He's been such a tremendous player for us. He's so smart, a very physical quarter, loves to hit, loves to come up and tackle on the run fits, also can make plays in the passing game. And I really just feel like he's starting to understand like how good he can be in this league, and how easy it is when you study and put the work in.
It really is amazing to see the fearlessness and the smarts. And I think the move to nickel is a major change because it puts him in a position where he can do so many different things. I hate to compare him to Rondé Barber, who just made it to the Hall of Fame, and Devon Witherspoon's got a long way to go, but he's in a position where he can have the kind of impact on a game that Rondé Barber did on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple sacks, he had a big hit on a tackle, he had a pick, obviously for six, and the sky's the limit for him.
The Seahawks this year were expected to be good. Last year was the year that it was kind of like, who knows what they're going to be without Russell Wilson and without you. This year, there was an expectation the Seahawks would be good. There was that little road bump week one, but boy, since then, it's been something. Now, I spoke to Tyler Lockett after you guys beat the Lions, and he said that you had a lot to do with turning the page on week one, that your leadership played a big role in getting the attention of the players to forget about what happened against the Rams and just keep going. What do you remember saying to the players to get them to forget about what happened in week one and focus on the rest of the schedule?
I think it was a lot of that. A lot of, you come into a season where last year they didn't really have any expectation, and this year there's so much expectation. And so, you hear, maybe, you got a lot of young guys reading the media or this, that, and the third, and they come into the season and that first game doesn't go the way you want it to go. And in this league, when you hold your hat on a game, whether it's a win or a loss, it affects the next game. And that was kind of the biggest message. Like, okay, that game didn't go the way we wanted. We got to move past it. We got to, lock in on this next game, or we can lose this game because of our emotions from the last game. And that was kind of the biggest thing.
Yeah, don't let one loss become two. That's one thing I've learned from Chris Sims
Exactly.
over the year from his time in the league, that if you get two down in the dumps about one, next train's coming, and then the next
Yep.
train's coming, and you got to forget about the train that ran over you, and you got to go run over somebody else.
Right. And then the same thing with a win. Like, you can get so high from a win and be patting your back so much to the point where you come in and you lose a game you're not supposed to lose.
This is an early time for the bye, but it seems like a good time given the Jamal Adams concussion, Geno Smith kind of banged up. Would you rather have a bye later, or are you happy that it's worked out the way that it has? You guys get a break now.
I was telling the guys this the other day, I feel like in the course of my career, the bye always happens when it's supposed to. Like, if it's early, you might have some injuries that allowed you to, get your guys healthy. And then there's sometimes when, you know, uh, later on it helpful. So honestly, it just kind of depends on how the season going. This particular season, I think is good for us because we can get a lot of guys back healthy, and we have enough games for them to get used to, playing and stuff like that.
Geno got injured along the sideline with a hip drop tackle. Coach Pete Carroll spoke out against that technique after the game. As a defensive player, What's your thought on that technique of basically grabbing the guy and using the body weight to fall down and possibly getting his legs caught up in the aftermath?
I didn't see the play, so I can't really fully comment on it. But I will say that it's very hard to be a defender in this league. It's very hard to tackle a person in this league. And if anything, I think the hit that happened, it was really late on the sideline and didn't necessarily need to happen. But at the end of the day, it's very hard to tackle in this league, and every year they make it harder and harder. So, um, I think I'm always on the defensive side.
Now, you've been in the NFL for a while, but even though you came in 2012, it was after the changes from the CBA in 2011, and that limited dramatically the amount of time that players have to practice in pads and the offseason programs. How do you know how to tackle properly during a game when you don't practice tackling to the ground as much as guys used to? Not that you were in the NFL before the change came, but help us understand what that's like to be out there in a game, being expected to go out there and tackle guys when you aren't really practicing the exact thing you're about to do on a regular basis.
Honestly, for me personally, I think the game is 90% mental, and a lot of it is visual. And so I can visualize thousands and thousands of tackles if I'm paying attention in practice. And I think that is the biggest thing to me. Like sometimes I don't really feel like you need to go all the way to the ground. Like once you do it and becomes repetition, a lot of it is just keeping that visual keys and things of that nature. Me coming into the league and playing with the Seahawks, we've never tackled at practice. We've never went full speed in training camp. All of our live tackle opportunities has came either in preseason or in the beginning of the season. And so I feel like we were one of the best tackling teams in the league. And so I think the proof is in the pudding.
What's it like being back with the Seahawks after being away?
It's great. I think it's definitely a new appreciation. Definitely grateful because I saw even like that last game when I was able to come back, how connected the community and how much love you have for the city of Seattle, and it's really cool to put on his jersey again and play in front of these fans.
I was there the night in MetLife Stadium when you guys beat the Broncos in Super Bowl 48. When you're back there, do you feel that? Does that account for? I know the rest of the team wasn't there, but for you personally, did you have a little extra lift being back in the place where you won a Super Bowl?
I don't think so because like you said, there's not many people, if any from that era. So there's nobody to talk about it with. There's nobody to talk about that feeling with. So it's kind of just you kind of just put it behind you. And if there was people around that I've experienced that moment with, and we talk about it. But everybody's kind of new and young.
Before we wrap this up, I need to mention that Bobby's here today on behalf of the USAA Partnership for the Prevent Defense Campaign. Tell us more about that.
Um, Kind of like what we were talking about just a second ago, just how much love I have for this city and how much love I have for this community. Part of loving the community is being able to protect it. And, I know it rains a lot here, but wildfires is something that happens more often than people think. And, being able to partner up with USAA and the Written Fire Department to help people understand that, it's our job to protect the thing that we love is just a really cool initiative and really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, all those wildfires start somehow, and a lot of times it happens because somebody did something small, some little thing that could have been avoided. And it's important for people to be aware, especially when they're camping, of every little thing, the fires you leave behind, anything that could possibly get a fire started. So great by you to spread the awareness of that. We support that absolutely and completely. This team, in comparison to the Super Bowl 48 championship team, since you're the one common piece, other than the coaching staff, or not many members of the coaching staff, but Coach Pete Carroll, do you see similarities back to
I don't
the
I don't
team?
compare. I don't try to compare. I try to treat every season like a new season. So I know a lot of people try to, but I'm not really one of them because like you can't make another Sherm, you can't make another Cam, you can't make another Earl. A lot of those guys cannot be replicated, and I have too much respect for those guys to even try to.
Well, don't need to make another Bobby Wagner because he's still on the team.
Yeah,
So that's
that's a
good
good.
news for the Seahawks.
Yeah, That's
All right,
correct.
pal. Well, congratulations on the great start to the season. All the best moving forward, and great work with USAA on preventing wildfires. We hope to talk to you again down the road.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.